NXT Toronto is finished, and now we move on to what I thought of the show. Okay, let's just cut right to it. And as everybody also knows, I don't do thoughts on the build-ups of the these specials because I don't really watch NXT as I used to since the taped environment and how it doesn't feel the same after I witnessed the golden age, as I like to call it, from about NXT Arrival to NXT. Let's see, what was it? Brooklyn 1, I believe it was. So that was a long time. So I just watch the specials now. It's like I would from time to time watch the old watch some of the new NXT new NXT tapings, but ultimately I don't really watch them as much as I used to. So now let's get to the first match of the evening: Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger, also known as Glorious versus Perfect 10, and yeah, like okay, this was like all the sign. Like before I go into depth about it, I was loving Bobby Roode's entrance. Like this was an opening act match. If this was on the main roster, they wouldn't have done that. They would have just let him do his standard entrance on NXT taping. But no, since he's an opening act, unless you're fighting John Cena, apparently, since Rusev came out with a freaking tank, um, you get this big special entrance. But in on on the NXT World side of the wrestling industry, yeah, no, we're gonna make every match kind of feel special, have some at least one standout moment. And Bobby Roode came out with a choir singing "Glorious," and I was like, "Oh god, I can't believe they somehow managed to top his NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2 entrance." Like it was just awesome. And Ty Dillinger, Perfect 10, that gimmick worked so well. And then I found out from the promo video that he was actually on the ECW third brand of WWE, and I was like, I never noticed that. Well, of course, I wasn't watching ECW on Sci-Fi because of that segment I saw where Shelton Benjamin on a PG ECW saying shut the Smurf up. Oh god. Oh god. That killed it for me. Like it was bad already in ECW, but that killed it for me. I never watched an ECW show again after that. But moving on, Ty Dillinger was honestly doing well in this match. I was actually rooting for Ty Dillinger. Like I was waiting for that moment where he finally has his standout break and finally gets this big win for him, and Bobby Roode gets the victory, and that surprised me. But at least Ty Dillinger got this big standing ovation, and I was, and all logic set all form of logic was pointing that Ty Dillinger was going to win. Like I was suspecting Ty Dillinger to win. Kind of shows that NXT has a different booking style. In fact, they kind of had a booking style throughout the show on the last match, but I'll get to that in a moment. So Ty Dillinger gets this big standing ovation, and the audience was so divided. Like this is what I just love about the NXT crowd. Like they don't WWE tries to silence their main roster fans, but in NXT they don't much unless they start going too far with hate towards specifically Eva Marie. But that's a completely different story that I had talked about explicitly beforehand when there was rumor going around that Eva Marie was going to win the NXT Women's Championship. But moving on, um, they were chanting "Glorious, Perfect 10, Glorious, Perfect 10," and I was like, "Oh god, this is just awesome!" Like even before the match even technically started, the fans were chanting, "This is awesome! This is awesome! This is awesome!" Like I could tell everyone wanted to see this match. Like this was glorious domination versus the perfect 10. So it was like the battle of perfection. And Bobby Roode came out with the victory, and and I'm hoping he says that he is now glorious perfection here, since he defeated the other guy who thinks he was perfect. But yeah, like this match, it was pretty standard, but it was also entertaining. Like, besides the audience and Ty Dillinger's Never Say Die attitude he delivered, I can't really think of more standout moments. Like, that's pretty much it. Oh, and the special entrance they gave to Bobby Roode. So now we get to the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Tournament Final. I had looked up that Paul was going to be suspended. It was going to be not part of the match in any way, and it turned out he was going to be suspended above the ring inside of a cage, something that they did back then. And I was like, okay, you're taking a page out of the Attitude Era and the late 70s, early 80s style of wrestling. Like, okay, this is interesting. Like, I know he's going to factor into this, into the victory of the Authors of Pain. And I haven't really watched much of NXT to get invested with the Authors of Pain. Like, I look at TM61, I'm not really interested in them because, with the exception of this tournament, I don't recall that many matches they've won. But I was kind of rooting for them to, like, finally get that big break for them. But no, the Authors of Pain win because I get trying to establish a heel force, but you have Sanity, so yeah. And I was wondering, where was Eric Young in this show? Like, I was really rooting to see him on the pay-per-view or the special. We'll have to wait and see what's gonna happen. And TM61, I don't remember who. I think it was Nick Miller or Shane, but I could be wrong. He got on top of the suspension cable that was holding Paul in the cage, and he jumped off of it, and that was like the big standout moment for that match because this match was relatively short, clocking in at only 8 minutes and 20 seconds. That was the only standout. Like, they try to compress a stellar match into the young underdogs versus the mountainous men match. But I knew, yeah, you're not going to make this work in that kind of time. So, even though this wasn't a bad match, it was ultimately the worst match of the night. Though that's more like saying worst of the best. Because, well, NXT tends to not really create a bad match, in my opinion. They can make okay matches. I mean, like, on TakeOver shows. But, like, okay, like, NXT can make a bad match on the regular shows, but on specials, they never really had that vibe of a bad match. It's more like okay. So now we get to the match that I knew was going to be the main event, going to be the match of the night, which steal the show and all that. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa of DIY, or hashtag DIY, versus the Revival, Dash Wilder, and Scott Donaldson in a 2 out of 3 falls tag team match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Okay, yeah, we obviously know what's going to happen. Like, after that stellar performance that had a very confusing ending because that was so dirty logic, with, I think it was Johnny Gargano who was tapping out. He was, like, by the ropes. He could have just clung onto that, but they kind of botched that a bit, so there's still questions on that. So they decided to do this match, a rematch, and after the Tag Team Classic happened, where the Revival screwed the DIY out of the match against the Authors of Pain, and, well, the Revival and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa finally get the opportunity, and this match was just awesome. Best match of the night, in my opinion. And they did really well. Like, I was expecting, like, maybe they'll go for, like, 15 minutes before they do the fall, and then start to do a second fall, and then, like, try to build things up for the final fall. I think they did that. I kind of lost track of the time. I was just so liking this match. And it was pretty awesome, like, especially how it ended. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa both have the Revival in the submission moves. And I noticed that the Revival do their signature style of tag team wrestling, like go underneath the ring to get on the other side, and whatnot. Like, I could tell, like, this is what tag team wrestling's missing, some form of innovation. Like, they've had weapons, they had all sorts of stuff, but this was a standard scientific wrestling match, and they managed to make it entertaining with some innovating ideas. And that's what I really liked about the Revival, because they keep trying to do something different in the tag team matches. Like, they could have obviously just had, I think Dash Wilder was the guy, jump out of the ring ropes and circle all the way around. But then the referee would try to stop him, so he decided, hey, I'm going to go underneath the ring and go up and sneak up behind him. And they would always, and when they looked like they were going to do a hot tag for Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, the Revival always broke it. Like, I was like, yes! When I get stereotyped hot tag moments where the guy just dominates for 5 minutes and then starts getting beaten down for some reason. Yeah, I still don't get why that's the logic in main rosterville. So now I'm seeing this, and I was thinking the Revival were going to do one more innovative thing. Like, okay, I've seen this, but what else are they going to do? So, okay, they're going to grab the tag team belt, and I was really looking forward to what they were going to do. Like, this is the Revival. They haven't done anything predictable and whatnot. Like, this looks like it's borderline predictable, but let's see what happens. Instead of trying to hit Johnny Gargano in the head with the bell and try to go for the cover, instead, he uses it as a shield in order to block a kick from Gargano, which was just like, yes, that is what I was looking for. Something different, something new. Like, they do different tag team innovations that haven't been seen for a while now, and then they do this. Like, they don't use the bell as a weapon, they use it as a shield. Whereas nowadays, everyone just uses steel chairs and to block steel chairs to hit people over the head, though, of course, that was banned. But to see them use the bell and use it as a shield instead of a weapon of sorts, that is kind of interesting to me. And then the Revival were in submission together. The Revival were being trapped in submission by a DIY, and they were holding their hands. Like I was thinking, like, okay, there could be another innovative thing they could do. They could like try to filter out the pain by grabbing onto their hands to stop the other from tapping out. So okay, like I think they were gonna do that, but then they tapped out anyways at the same time. But I was so glad Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa won the match. So I was not complaining. Like, it would have been interesting if the match went a little longer, because, well, they have never had a bad match together. So I was so glad for Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. I don't know why I can't say Gargano and Ciampa. Oh God, I can't. I don't understand why I can't say their last name, ring names in right. So, anyways, So now DIY is now tag team champions. Like, it looked like they were going to move to the main roster for the Cruiserweight division initially when they were showing video vignettes of the Cruiserweight Classic, which was a cheap move. But they never showed up, so I was wondering, oh, are they going to wait till the Revival is done and then they're going to move? Oh no, they won the tag team belts. So now the bad news is this. DIY is going to stay. They're going to probably have one more match with the Revival, and then the Revival is going to move up to either Raw or SmackDown. Most likely Raw. And we're going to lose the innovativeness that made the Revival unique. They're just going to be a bunch of big guys. They're going to be just these, quote, brutes and whatnot, instead of these innovating tag team guys. And they're most likely going to be the New Day's bitch. That's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is that the Revival is the Revival, not just a standard tag team group that makes them stand out. So, I'm hoping they go to SmackDown Live instead. Like, as much as I could want to see the Revival actually be the guys that beat the New Day and end their long reign, I kind of want to see them on SmackDown because Raw will be the death of them. And with the Cruiserweight division most likely moving to SmackDown Live, though that plan could change, Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa might move to SmackDown as well, which means we might see more matches between them in a future pay-per-view. Really hope they do a match at WrestleMania. That would be awesome. But now we have to look forward to a Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa reign. while the Revival decided on a future. Please be SmackDown Live. Please do not go to Raw. You'll be ruined. So now we get to Asuka versus Mickie James. And I was surprised Mickie James was coming back. Like, there were talks about doing it, and then that never happened, and then she's finally coming back. And as much as Triple H has said in an NXT conference call, Mickie James was their first choice, a report was saying otherwise. Like, the original plan wasn't Mickie James versus Asuka, it was Trish Stratus versus Asuka, because Trish Stratus was this was her home turf and whatnot, and they wanted a credible face to take on Asuka and turn her heel. That was the plan, at least. And then Trish Stratus got pregnant, so they had to go with Mickie James. So I don't know what the true story is. Was it really the first choice was going to be Mickie James, or was she a backup plan in case in case anything happened to Trish Stratus? So we'll probably never know. But it seemed like they were going to do a heel turn for Asuka. Like, it would have been interesting, because they're also trying to build up Ember Moon to be her replacement for now, to be her future replacement. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. And Asuka remains undefeated in this match. I would have loved it if it was Trish Stratus versus Asuka. That would have been actually an awesome match. But Mickie James, like, I thought, okay, Mickie James is also a credible star. Like, she could do well and sell really well in the ring. But what made Mickie James unique for me was the ability to play the crazy fangirl role and be a psychotic psychopath. But that wasn't there for me. Like, when the PG era started, they stripped her of all that character stuff she was. And just kind of, to me at least, made her just another diva or a women's wrestler. So now, Asuka, it would have been interesting if Mickie James was still in her psychotic character persona. It would have been Asuka versus Crazy James, as I like to say, or Crazy Mickie James. That would have been a hell of a lot of fun to see that happen, since Asuka's smile looks like it's going to kill you. And the fans kind of agree, since they chant Asuka's going to kill you, compared to Samoa Joe's going to kill you, or Bray's going to kill you. But, yeah, this was a pretty standard match to me. Like, nothing really stand out for me in this match. Like, other than Asuka being on the receiving end and looking like she might not win this match, even though I kind of knew she was going to win this match. Like, would they really put the belt on Mickie James after nearly a year of building Asuka up just to lose to a veteran? Yeah, I highly doubt that. So, Mickie James loses to Asuka, and she retains the NXT Women's Championship. And I was sort of disappointed how it ended. I was expecting something to say she's going to turn heel. Like, I was expecting a knockout, or Asuka, or like, Asuka might do something that gets herself disqualified, though that would have been a really main roster style move. But, like, I was looking forward to seeing what they would have done if they turned Asuka heel. That would have actually been interesting. Like, they kind of hinted it at the end when she didn't do a handshake. She just held the title up in the air. I think that was a hint that they were going to turn her heel. But we'll probably know in the weeks to come. So now we get to the final match. The epic rematch from NXT Brooklyn. 2. Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke Nakamura. After Samoa Joe makes his pretty much standard entrance as usual, Shinsuke Nakamura comes out to a violinist group, playing his theme music, the instrumental version at least, and the crowd is chanting with the music. It's just awesome. For God's sakes, it's Shinsuke Nakamura. I can't wait what's going to happen. And Samoa Joe is bleeding in the match. It looks awesome, especially with this kick style that Shinsuke has. And it made me think, okay, I want to see Kota Ibushi versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't care if he's a freelancer. Get him on the phone. I don't know what it takes. I want him to fight Shinsuke Nakamura. That will be awesome. The king of strong style versus the kickmaster, as I like to say. I think there's an official name for him, but like, Yeah, let's just go with that. So, yeah, I didn't really have much interest in this match. Like, I knew it would be the second best match of the night, but with how it ended surprised me because I wasn't thinking they would go that route. But it happened. Samoa Joe becomes the first ever two-time NXT champion. He beats Shinsuke Nakamura, clean I must add, which is something that certain wrestlers on the main roster don't like to do, or at least creative believes that it's stupid, because God knows that we need that not happen. Okay. So, anyways, this match was pretty awesome. Like, it wasn't DIY versus the Revival awesome, but it was still pretty awesome for the most part. And Samoa Joe bleeding that more, like, he's bled a lot in NXT this year. Like, specifically his match with Finn Balor, that was awesome at NXT Dallas. That was pretty much awesome. And everyone in the crowd was just quiet for like a couple of minutes after Samoa Joe won. Like, they weren't thinking like that wasn't supposed to happen. Like, tell me that did not just happen. Like, it probably will never see a shocked expression like that guy at WrestleMania 30 when The Undertaker lost. And he's now famous on the internet as a meme. Way to go, internet. And, yeah. And I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, everything, like all the reports I was hearing, like Samoa Joe, he's gonna go to the main roster, fight Braun Strowman, and be the guy that beats Braun Strowman on Raw, which will be disappointing because I know for a fact WWE's gonna screw him over big time. Specifically, Kevin Dunn, because well, he hates NXT guys and gals. I mean, like, look at Becky Lynch. Like, she's being told, yeah, I don't want you to do promos. You see, I don't have a problem with your charisma. It's just that you have a thick Scottish accent. That is pathetic, Dunn. That's seriously pathetic. You hate this wrestler persona because of her accent. Something she was born with. Like, I don't make fun of you on your physical or psychological traits. I mean, like, I question your booking status and your temper tantrums that he supposedly do backstage regarding Triple H and everything he creates. But I don't judge you as based on your appearance and whatnot, even though I've heard people on the internet mock you for your teeth. Like, I keep thinking that's childish. Like, I'm not going to stoop to his level on that. I'm not going to just say, well, your teeth are stupid and whatnot. Your face is stupid. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm going to be the big man here. Like, I'll rant about your problems regarding Triple H and whatnot, but I won't mock you as a person. Much. At least in a physical sense. I'm not going to bully you. But moving on, but now I'm wondering where Shinsuke Nakamura is going to go. Like, are they going to do one more match? Is he going to move to the main roster, even though the report says that they had no plans for him yet? Though, of course, Daniel Bryan says he wants to get Shinsuke Nakamura. Pretty sure he could convince creative on that. We probably will find out later reports in the coming weeks, but, yeah. That's pretty much it for NXT TakeOver Toronto. See you at Survivor Series, everybody. This was Near Reality Argentina. For if you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, stay tuned for more.